Start getting information. Hi-yo, cool. Time to go live. And let's see how this is. And we are live here. Yes, we are. Set that up here. Got a little notification from YouTube. We're live on there as well. And now, let's see how we're doing here. Close that up. Studio. Studio. Hey, yo. Set that up here. Oh, mute. Don't want my computer saying anything in the background. Content. Live. Let's see the control room as well. Yesterday I wanted missing some comments on YouTube. That made me sad. I don't want to miss them today. So we have all these open right here. Hello, Rohan loves Oprah Winfrey. Ah, I remember your name from before. Hello to you, Rohan. How's my audio doing today? Do I sound louder than before? I remember you told me that I wasn't that loud before. I hope I got it right this time. And anyone else that's joining, this is me trying to hold myself accountable for writing every day to develop that habit and get a lot more comfortable with it. If you're getting into journaling and you haven't built the habit, then grab a journal right now and get to writing what's alive in you. And with that, let's start. I got some more ambiance on this scene right now. Hey, look at that. I'm going to burn some smelly shit for a bit. Oh yeah, there you go. How's that looking? I sound crystal clear. Awesome. Thank you. Rohan, I was actually thinking about you the other day because I was thinking about Oprah Winfrey, because one of the books that I wanted to talk about was Getting the Love You Want and the Imago Method, which I first saw on Oprah Winfrey. And they're like, oh yeah, Rohan loves Oprah Winfrey. There you go. That's where he came up. And now, back to it. Today is March 21st. Did I get the date right yesterday? Yeah, the 2025. All right, no more 2024s. Hi, I can't say I'm a devout Oprah fan. I thought it was a silly and fun name when I was 19. And now you're stuck with it forever. You will always be known as the Rohan who loves Oprah Winfrey. If you don't love her anymore, then what are your feelings towards Oprah? How have they changed over time? Love to know. It's too late to change. Oh, is it? Do you mean? Wait a second. This is a philosophical question. Hello to Stacy Louise and to E. You mean it's too late to change your name, or is it too late to change your undying love of Oprah Winfrey? Ah, your name. Okay. Rohan, if you could change your name to a better representation of your feelings towards Oprah Winfrey, would it be Rohan feels so towards Oprah Winfrey? Rohan doesn't talk much about Oprah Winfrey? Or Rohan has a love-hate relationship with Oprah Winfrey? Oprah, open to suggestion of others' name. Rohan doesn't particularly vibe what Oprah represents, but wishes her the best. Yeah, I've heard that Oprah's kind of fallen out of fashion lately. She's done some questionable shit, hasn't she? No, don't pay too much attention to it though. But I saw some headlines and I just absorbed that. It's weird. Anyhow, one passing fancy. Hello, and welcome to this live stream. How about journaling? If you got a journal, pull it out, get to writing. Hello, one passing fancy. A.M. Malloy. Hello, welcome to today's live stream. Pleasure to see you here. Hello to Echo71. Have you ever found yourself stuck, unable to write? Like nothing interesting happens, so why should I write? It's a great question. I'm going to turn to the main cam here because I have this button here. No, I almost never find myself stuck to write, because if I ever don't have an idea to write, I always have a body. And I could always just be like, hey, what does my body feel? And I could just do a body scan. What does it feel like up here? What does it feel like here? What is actually speaking to me? And I could always give language to the parts of my body that don't have access to language otherwise. I'm more than just all of my ideas and all of my desires and all of my problems. I'm so much more of me is this body and what it's feeling. And so really trying to develop that sense of interoception is what I really want to practice. I know doctors are really frustrated when patients go into the office like, it hurts. Well, it hurts how? Where? What? Is it hot? Is it warm? Is it here? Where does it end? And so really locating things in my body is always a default that I could go back to if I run out of ideas to write down. But I rarely ever run out of ideas to write down. And so sometimes I could just be like, okay, let me do that training of my interoception. I think also that training of an understanding of your body is, I think they're only called like V1 cells in your brain, while vision is V5. So they're a lot more advanced than the sense of what it's like inside of your body. And so we really need to train that more. And I'm aware of everyone's lack of training and my own lack of training, so I try to put myself through it. So giving language to the parts of my body that don't have access to my mouth is what I try to do whenever I get stuck. But great question. If you ever feel stuck, then just do a full body scan. What does everything feel like all over? Hot, warm, spinning, sharp, dull, throbbing? What does your heartbeat feel like? What does your blood pumping feel like? What does the cold in your fingertips feel like? Just, you could go forever just looking into your body and just remembering what different parts of you are saying to you. That's a weird answer, but thanks for asking. Back to writing. And hello to Orguzmic Fuzz. Love it. Hows. All right, all right, Rohan, how's to you as well? One passing fancy. I'm glad you find it interesting. So thank you for asking, and thank you for letting me talk about interoception, which I think is super important. Spent a lot of time yesterday reading research papers about empathy. I'm really interested in the subject, and a big part of the definition of empathy in one of the papers was, being able to feel another person's emotions. But then I remember what Lisa Feldman Barrett said about people's emotions, and nobody has the same emotion. What happiness feels like for you is very different than what happiness feels like for me. What sadness feels like for you is different than what it feels like for me. Anxiety, the same thing. Anxiety for me, I feel usually right around here, from my neck to the middle of my chest, right here. It doesn't go down to my belly button, but it stops right here and it spins. My girlfriend feels anxiety in a tightness in her shoulders. Cool. And so just naming emotions doesn't matter. Really just being able to understand, where is your body feeling things? Where is your body telling you signals? And so I think just naming emotions isn't enough, but really locating them and putting them on a circumflex of, is it high arousal? Is it low arousal? Is it pleasant or is it unpleasant? Then that's a good way to understand things. Rohan, I see the rest of your question now. How's the finger? Finger is hideous. It's ugly, but it's working. So I could bend it now, and I don't have all of my feeling there yet, but it doesn't hurt to touch anymore. It just has like still a bit of a numbness, and I'm still a little ginger and afraid around it. It bleeds every once in a while. Not too happy about that, but it hasn't bled over the past couple of days, so that's all right. But slowly surely getting better, but this is just so fucking ugly. I'm really worried that my nail's gonna fall off. I hope it doesn't fall off. But yeah, and my nail is growing a lot slower than usual, but finger is kind of back at it and able to work. All right, speaking of getting my finger to work, let's get my finger to work. Hello to Edwidge Hugge. Nice to see you. It's a bit blurry on my screen to read, but do you sometimes feel vulnerable having viewers able to read along with your journaling? That's a great question. I don't necessarily feel too vulnerable here. I'm not sharing anything like that I'm worried about. I'm not writing down like my mother's maiden name or like the passwords to any of my accounts or anything along those lines. I'm just writing down some of my ideas that are alive in me, and I'm not writing about like major problems that I'm facing in my life, or I don't think anything could be really used against me. Like right now, I'm writing down if I were to create a course on training people how to be empathetic. Oh, Dugu, I remember your avatar. Wow, it's been a while since I've seen you, but I think your name used to be different there. Or maybe I'm just confusing with somebody else. So the ideas I'm sharing here, if you could read them, then great. I'd love for you to be able to follow along. And if you want to get on this empathy bandwagon with me and really learn different techniques of training for it, awesome. So I'm sharing my values here, but it's not really like I'm writing about like problems I'm having in my relationship or my career or with my family. But then again, like I'm so vulnerable online anyways. Like I already share lots of my ideas. Like, hey, here's how my marriage failed miserably, and here's how I was a total dick throughout the whole process. And so, I mean, what more like can I really share? I'm not going to really be doing an OnlyFans. And so I think emotional vulnerability is totally my thing. And so I'm going all out with that. But great question. Thanks for asking. Hello, Duigu. Are you, I gotta look for it. Yeah, that avatar really does look familiar. I'm not sure how I remember you, but I do remember that name somewhere. Okay, so back to reading about the empathy lesson plan. So I created a course with some people in Canada, with a charity in Canada, called The Mindful Use of Social Media, in which how to use social media in a compassionate and kind way. And this is for high school students so that they don't get addicted. How do you understand the difference between the use of social media and addiction to it, yada, 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 and so forth. And now I'm thinking about like, how can I build a course that can really teach people empathy? It's not something that's naturally known. It's only a word that's been around for like 100 years. It's a pretty fairly new concept, and to be honest, a lot of people kind of suck at it. And that's okay because they just haven't been trained at it, right? If you haven't been trained in football, then you're not going to be good in football. If you're not trained in empathy, then you're not going to be good in empathy. If you haven't practiced it intentionally, then good luck with it. It's not easy. And so, can I build a training course for it? And what would all these lessons be? How about the importance of steel manning as opposed to straw manning? How about the importance of validating others' ideas? How about compassionate inquiry as opposed to interrogative inquiry? And what are all the different things that could be taught in order to get people to be more empathetic and to incorporate more into their lives? And what are some of the arguments against empathy? I know Bloom, I forget, this is Paul Bloom. He's a famous therapist. He's been on the Sam Harris podcast. Not therapist, he's a famous psychologist. He's been on the Sam Harris podcast a bunch of times. He's a professor in Canada. And he wrote a book called Against Empathy, I think because he just misunderstood what empathy is. And yes, I'm going to say that a famous writer kind of misunderstood what empathy is. And I think he understood it more as like in-crowd kind of tribalism rather than like, hey, you could offer empathy to anybody everywhere, no matter what. And so I'd like to be able to talk about all these things. And yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'm going to get back to starting to write down some more ideas. If you have any ideas about like other exercises people can do for building empathy, if you're as obsessed with the topic as I am, then please let me know in the comments. I'm looking for ideas. You're welcome, Rohan. Thank you. Hello to Wyox Gaming. Pleasure to see you here. Hello to Tokal Tamame. My God, I'm so bad at reading these names. Hello, Masha. Nice to see you here, love. Look what I got going on here. I've been inspired by your smelly room. And now I'm bringing more of a namaste vibe here. La 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 la. Smells like healing. Yep. This room definitely does smell like healing right now, isn't it? Hello to Gilmy. Pleasure to see you here. Hello to Julie Script. Pleasure to see you here. Oh, I got a question here. From Edwidge Huga. I've always wanted to do morning pages, but I never know what to write about. What do I usually write about? Or what inspires you? Is it books that you've read, people, situations in yo? I'm assuming it says situations in your life, but maybe you ran out of characters to write. In your life, Nature, haha, good guess. So I'm glad that you're interested in doing the morning pages. I don't do them the same way that the Artist Way recommends. I think that she's suggests 3 pages, and she has some specific questions that she wants to do. Hello, Matt Pickles, and welcome to this live stream. And so when it comes to what to write about, I answered this with Rohan before. We have Rohan asking another question. I'll get to that in a second. So the easiest thing always to write about if you don't know what to write about is you always have a body. The body is always there with you, and you could always get into better touch with it. I think the more in touch we are with our bodies, the more we understand what our bodies are doing, the better that we could get in touch with other people. Because a lot of times what's getting in the way of empathy is our body is signaling and we're not able to connect with others. And so in order to really be able to connect with that, hello, may I 572. In order to really be able to connect with that, let's better understand what's happening in us. And so whenever I get stuck, I do kind of like a body scan. What does this feel up here? And what do my ears feel like? And what does my heartbeat feel like? And where do I feel my breath? Is it at the tip of my nose? Is it at the back of my nose? And what does the inside of my mouth feel like? What does it taste like in my mouth when there is no taste? Just give words to the parts of my body and to the sensations that don't usually get a lot of language and words to them. So that's always the first thing that I could write about if I ever feel stuck. And if you run out of inspiration, that's always an easy one to fall back on. But then for me, what I usually write about is I'm just obsessed lately with the topic of empathy and emotions. It's pretty much all I think about. Right now, I've just been writing this whole thing about how can I teach empathy to others, and so that's kind of why I started being a little bit teachy here, and how do I phrase some of these ideas that have really helped me with my teaching and with my learning about empathy. And so those are the things that I tend to write about, but what do I usually write about before? My God, I barely even look back on this. I was writing about the TV show that I watched before, Adolescence, and how upset I was with the lack of empathy in there. There's a clear theme of empathy here. I was writing about my interest in writing, and I also one of the things that I love about writing is I just love the feeling of a pen scratching on paper. I love it. It's such a tactile feeling. It's so sensory, and I just don't get that feeling from clanging away at the keyboard. I know that I'm grossly inefficient with my writing, and I know that I pretty much never translate any of these ideas back into text on screen at all, but just the feeling of that is good. And so sometimes I'll even ask myself, and what now? And what now? And what now? And what now? Until something arises. And so I also think that I've been writing for so long that it's hard for me to feel stuck in writing. I started doing regular writing back when I was in university. I used to do 10 pages a day, 10 pages this size every single day at the end of the day to just get out all the thoughts in me, all the things that I was reading. And so that, I think because I've done that for so long, it's become a lot easier for me. But I also remember being stuck there, and the rule was to never let the pen stop moving. Even if my hand is cramping and sore, you just keep on going. And so I think that's it. It's a great question. I think maybe I should try to think about how to answer that more. If you do ever feel stuck with writing, I have in my link in bio on my Instagram page or wherever you're watching this, I do have journaling prompts that I have. They're free. I made them. You could download them on Gumroad. You don't have to pay anything. So just download them. You could write one at the top of your page and just answer that question as deeply as you can. So there you go. But thank you. So yeah, so it's mostly the people that, the books that I've read and the ideas that I'm working on, that I'm currently writing about. Let's get to Rohan here. It says, I think empathy is a very valuable characteristic in an individual. I 100% agree. Empathy is, for me, I think the most important characteristic that somebody could have. And it's That's actually an overstatement because I don't like to measure things about like most and least and whatnot. But for me, it's top of mind all the time. In my obsession, in your observation, this is me projecting. In my observation, empathy sometimes comes naturally, and other times empathy might require active practice. For me, I think empathy requires active practice, but I do it so much now that it's kind of easy for me to do. When I first started getting into empathy, my God, it was so difficult. I was reading Nonviolent Communication, and he had a little like checklist of like, when I see this, and I feel this, and I need this, and I spoke very robotically. But it's just like anything that you get good at, you just gotta put in the reps over and over again until it comes natural and becomes automatic. I like to think of empathy. I had a language for it yesterday that I really liked. I typed it up. I think empathy is the intentional practice of emotional mimicry. That's my definition of it. The intentional practice of emotional mimicry. If you see something that somebody is feeling, you really want to be able to connect with what they're feeling and really understand them. No, it was the intentional practice of embodied mimicry. There you go, embodied. You want to be able to feel what they're feeling and place it in your body and understand it. It's not natural and automatic. You can't just see somebody's emotion and be like, I know what they're feeling. You really have to ask and understand. Like I said, where are they feeling things in their body? What thoughts are arising? What memories come up with this? Really dig in and hold space for the full beauty of somebody's emotional experience. And then Leonardo DiCaprio the shit out of that. Like Oscar award winning, feel that as deeply as you can and try to show that person that you really understand them and really get that. So that's what I think. Thank you for the interesting prompt. Mia572 says, showing self-love is hard for me. Coming from a family where we didn't have much and growing up was very stressful due to many reasons. I would like to start journaling. I feel like it would be useful for me. Thank you for sharing that, Mia. Yeah, self-love is super hard. I have a book somewhere here, Self-Compassion. And when I first got into it, my God, it was such a difficult practice to just be able to say nice things to myself, to be able to touch myself and just be like, it's all right. You're doing the best that you can, and just offer myself some soothing touch and being kind. I had this inner basketball drill sergeant coaching me that just kept on telling me to go harder and faster and push and shut up, and just, it was so mean to myself before. And I know that getting into a position of self-love is so challenging if you haven't been trained. Yeah, it's definitely hard, and it's definitely not something that I saw from my family. It seems like something you didn't get from your family as well. And you grew up in a very stressful environment where you probably had to, I'm assuming, either protect yourself or you were overwhelmed with a lot of like challenging stimulus around you, and in this mode of survival, it's hard to be able to connect with yourself and just offer yourself that peace and that love and that softness. But it's doable. It's like learning how to play the piano. It's like learning how to ride a bike. You do it, and you'll get there. And it takes work, and it's painful work, and it's sore at first, but it's so rewarding. And me, I really wish you the best of luck in getting there. And I say keep up with it. Journaling would be a very useful way to do that, just to be able to say some nice things about yourself, what you like about yourself. And it's very easy for us to write about what we don't like about ourselves, for sure. It's very easy for me to come up with those, but it just feels so much nicer to be able to talk nicely to myself and to be able to connect with all the parts in me that are alive in me. And so if you want to get journaling, I'm running 5 minutes late here. So if you want to start journaling, come join me tomorrow at 8:30. Grab 8:30 a.m. Lisbon time. This is when I usually do my journaling. Grab a book and start writing. Pick up the journaling prompts that I put in my link in bio, all free, of course. You're welcome, Mia. And I'll be happy to see you all here tomorrow again as I get back to writing. Thank you for all this engagement and conversation.